Good afternoon. Happy Monday. Good afternoon, guys. My name is John Anagnos, aka Mr. Carlsbad, powered by EXP Realty. And I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about the buyer's market that we're all going through as real estate agents right now, especially here in the San Diego County area, but also throughout Southern California as well. You might have noticed as an agent that the market has been very, very slow in the past, I want to say year and a half or so. And so, it's not the seller's market that we really once had just a few years ago. And so it's really shifted to a buyer's market. And as a lot of you may have experienced in your transactions, you know, sellers don't have the same kind of power and leverage that they did. And buyers are, now we're in a buyer's market because there aren't that many buyers out there because interest rates are still, high. Even though I know the Fed did cut things down by, I think, what, 2 percentage points or 25 basis points, something like that. We haven't really seen the full effects of it on the market yet. So, and I've also noticed that buyers tend to be a lot more, they've got a lot more leverage than they used to have. They're, even in negotiations with the sellers and whatnot, they're able to demand a lot more in, cost of repairs and, the things that they just simply could not get before in, recent years. Cost of repairs, who's paying for the inspection reports, and everything in between. And so I think it's really important in the buyer's market that we have right now, since there just aren't that many buyers out there, since the interest rates are basically keeping everyone sidelined, that you really position yourself really, really well to, get your listing sold and closed, because it's not what we used to have, which was just a couple of years ago, where you would get a listing on the market and then 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, you're in escrow and you're on your way to, closing. You're smooth sailing. No. What we have right now is it's taking 30 to 40 to 60 days, even longer than that sometimes, to get a home sold. And even then, buyers, because they now recognize and realize that they have more power, can decide to pull the plug on the whole thing at the last second. So, from my experience as an agent, I think it's really, really, really important for the pricing to be spot on the first time, and you really need to communicate with your, if you're a listing agent, you really need to communicate with your sellers that pricing your home competitively, doing what your competition's doing. Better than that, if you can get it priced under the market, 12 to 15% below the current market value, that will move the needle. I've seen it happen in our transactions, and that will absolutely generate traction on the market. And I promise you, you will get offers coming through the door. Your phone will be ringing. You'll be getting text messages and emails from other agents about submitting offers to you. And that will move the needle for you and get you into an accepted transaction, and hopefully on your way to a smooth close of escrow. Now, I know in this market, because it's weird, sellers still think that they have the ability to demand whatever price they want, and they don't want to hear anything otherwise. I would 100% get it. I would show them the comps of the recent home sales, and if there are price reductions that have happened anywhere near you, I would show them that to them as well. Because if you price at the top of the market right now in this market, unless you're in a luxury listing, luxury neighborhood, really, the odds of them getting the price of the offer that they want are very low right now. So I would tell them, if you can, I would really persuade them to, go under the market 12, 10 to 12% under the current market value to really move the needle along and make yourself appear like a real deal to the buyers, because all buyers are the same. They all want a deal, and right now that's what all buyers are looking for. They are looking for a deal, and the best deal that presents itself, that's the one that they're going to make an offer on. So that's what I would try to communicate with your sellers. Buyers, if you're representing a buyer, um, you know, as I mentioned earlier, um, we don't have the one-sided sellers market that we had just a few years ago. This is a very buyers heavy market right now, if not balanced market. And I would really, advise your buyers to make a very competitive offer. Make an offer that the seller is going to want, because that's the way that they're going to get into a transaction. It's. I know we're in a buyer's market right now, and every buyer out there wants to lowball every seller they get. And in some cases, they can do that depending on what the seller's financial situation is. Sometimes they can do that, but I would strongly, strongly advise against that. And here is why. If your buyer does do that, it's going to leave a really poor impression on the seller. And the seller's not going to be inclined to accept that offer. And that's not something you want to do. So I would advise the buyer to write an offer that's competitive and that the seller would want to take. Because everyone wins in that situation. They do. And I would also advise your buyer clients to be open to negotiations from the other side, because more likely than not, if you submit an offer from a buyer to a seller in this type of market, the seller is going to end up countering that buyer, and then negotiations are going to open up, and they need to be willing and open to discussing that. And I would also advise for all the buyers agents out there, do advise the buyers that more likely than not, yes, you can get, you can ask for the repairs to be paid for, or ask for concessions, or whatever is going on, wrong with the house. The electrical needs to be replaced. There's asbestos in the house that needs to be taken care of. Right now, buyers can ask for that stuff to be paid for by the seller, and they will usually end up getting it. So that's where we are right now. That won't always be true. It's just where the market. It's just where the market is right now, because the market's really, really weird. And I think come quarter one or quarter two of 2026, I do think that the interest rate cuts that the Fed has done will start to move the needle a little more forward. And I do think that we're going to see more traction in the market probably by, no, I don't know, March or April of next year. But until then, people have to, willing to play a little bit of give and take here. But yeah, so those are some of the things I wanted to go over with you guys. And also, I started real estate. I became a residential real estate agent back in 2016. I started at Coldwell Banker. I was there for about a year. My partner ended up getting recruited to go to Keller Williams Silicon Beach and Marina Del Rey in 2017, and we were there from 2017 until summer of 2018. And then we switched teams at Keller Williams, and then the head of the other team got recruited to go to EXP. We had been with EXP since 2018. It was literally one of the best decisions that we ever made. To this day, we still get referrals for both sellers and buyers off the referral networks that EXP has built in, which is not something that Keller Williams or Coldwell Banker even had technology-wise. I don't know how it is anymore. With those brokerages, I have no clue. But anyway, the reason I bring up EXP is because we've been with them for 5, 6, 7 years, almost 8 years now. And it was one of the best things that we ever did. We're top 200 in production. The brokerage is constantly providing us seller referrals and buyer referrals. And there's plenty of tools, resources, and trainings. And for all the agents out there I understand that you may be happy with your brokerage. You're fine with the current split. You really love your broker, or whatever the case is. That's totally fine. It's completely fine. Here's why we ended up leaving Keller for EXP. I mean, the referrals and everything are a huge advantage, of course. But the primary reason that we left was because EXP's whole model is all based online. They built an entire brokerage online, right? An entire campus online. And it allows them to do things that other brokerages can't because of that. Not only that, but EXP also made all their agents, part owners in the company. So, your cap at EXP is 16K annually. You're on an 80-20 split commission wise. You keep 80% of the deal is in your favor. You're keeping 80% of it up front, paying into a 16K cap, which is, that's going into your 80-20 split. You're paying into the 20% of that goes into the cap. Once you hit that 16K, you are capped. You keep 100% of your commission for the rest of the year until it resets. But you're also getting stock equity in the company, all the transactions that you do close. And then there's revenue share for all the agents that you recruit under you, that you sponsor, that go into your organization. And if they start closing deals, you're getting a piece of their production. And that whole system goes 7 layers deep. I have a little bit of it myself. It's very nice to be able to help other agents, but it's even nicer to have, some passive income coming in. But, the only monthly recurring expense that I really have at EXP is just $85 a month for E&O insurance, and a couple $100 for the the CRM system that I use, which is Lofty. And they have other free options if you don't want to do that. But I can't say enough for EXP. They are an incredible company. They give you tools, resources, and trainings. I mean, literally, all you have to do is go on the exp.world to log into their system, and you can talk to whoever you need to talk to, the broker, the IT guy, whoever it is. They're right at your fingertips all the time. So if you ever have any interest in that, let me know. I'd be happy to show you. I'd be happy to help you, sponsor you, trying to give you some leads to help you out. No matter, no questions. I 100% get it. So, but also, in terms of, for the future stuff, EXP is strongly positioned as a company to shift in the market, but they also try to provide their agents with as many tools and resources as they possibly can. And they're constantly trying to give agents revenue streams and other income streams to, give the agents at EXP the best experience they can possibly have. And so, that being said, I strongly recommend you take a look at EXP, because it was by far the best thing that my partner and I ever did, was going there. And they're always positioning their agents for market shifts, market changes, how to succeed in the seller's market, how to succeed in the buyer's market, what's the best way to approach things, a balanced market, certifications galore. I have most of them, but all those options are there. And all you have to do at EXP is just apply yourself. I promise you will get a deal. If you're not okay with looking on your phone constantly trying to pick off a referral for a buyer or a seller, literally, they have a page where you can sign up, free of course, and it's literally just a page dedicated to open houses. And there are open house opportunities all the time. You just have to say, hey, there's an open house. I'd love to sit your open house. Can I sit your open house? And if you did enough of those, I promise you, if you're doing open houses every single weekend throughout the year, I promise you, you will get a client, buyer or seller, or both. And you could wind up with a client, a lifelong client. We've done it. So, because the lifeblood of real estate, of any real estate agent, is always leads. It's always, getting that repeat business, those loyal clients, and getting leads for both sellers and buyers. And we have numerous sources for that. I'm happy to share them with you. If you decide you want to come to EXP and name me as your sponsor, I am happy to share that with you, because I know what it was like when I was like Coldwell Banker and Keller Williams. That stuff wasn't even there. And I was foolishly spending money on lead sources that I probably shouldn't have been doing. But you know, you live and you learn. It's No one tells you this stuff until you're in the game long enough, anyway. But you know, just so I would plug that, because there shouldn't be agents out there at traditional brokerages where you're unhappy, or you feel like you're paying too much of it into a cap that doesn't help you at all. Because that's what the old brokerage model does, right? The old real estate brokerage model literally charges the real estate agent for keeping the lights on. In 2025, going on 2026 and beyond, why? There is no reason to be functioning in 1905 thinking, and when we're in 2025, going on 2026 and beyond that. We live in the digital age, man. We live in the AI age. And that's another thing EXP does really well. They also incorporate AI into everything. And why are they able to do that? Because they're internet based. Of course. AI is all internet based. That's where it comes from. It comes from the internet. So, yeah, if you've been thinking about, switching brokerages or trying something new, or just giving EXP something new a shot, I highly, highly, highly recommend you join. You should, give EXP a chance. I'm happy to be your sponsor, and I'm happy to give you leads, or show you how to get leads, at least for both sellers and buyers, and all the stuff in between. I do it for the agents that I sponsor right now. And they are incredible, and they'll probably be, crushing it next year, is my guess, as the market shifts, back. But, in terms of speaking about, the future and everything, because I do see the market is going to shift at some point. The market's going to change at some point. I don't know when. I don't know when. I don't have a crystal ball or anything. I can't tell you when. I just know that it's going to. I don't think it's going to be the rest of this year. I think the rest of this year is just going to be, really, really slow. And, it's still going to be, the real estate market's still going to basically be in a really weird place. And, there aren't going to be that many buyers there, hence the buyer's market. And then once we get into Q1 and Q2 of next year, I think the pendulum is going to start swinging, and the buyer's market that we have is going to change into something else at some point in time, especially with that's when I think the federal interest rates cuts will start to come into effect, because usually speaking, come mid-February, early March, that's when, the residential real estate market really starts to kick into high gear again. So that's what I think, So just want you guys to be well positioned for that, and know how to take advantage of that when it's there. And again, if you're getting a listing, congratulations. But I would highly, highly, highly recommend that you talk to your client about pricing at the market level right now, or pricing 10 to 12% below the current market right now, because that is what's going to move the needle, get you an offer through the door, get your seller client to accept an offer or counter it at least. Because if you're listing at the top of the market right now, you're probably going to be stuck. And I'll be the first one to tell you, if you come on to the market with a new listing within 72 hours and your phone isn't ringing, and you're not getting any texts from any agents or any buyers or emails or anything, you've already done something wrong. Believe me, my partner and I, it's happened to my partner and myself. So I don't want that to happen to anyone, any agent. This business is really, really tough. And it's really hard to get listings and get buyers and everything. And I want everyone to be successful. So um, it's really, really important that you price it competitively or 10 to 12% below the current market value, because that will get an offer to the door. At which point, your seller client can counter it and they can try to get it to the highest and best. If you're a buyer's agent, I would tell you to tell your buyer to write an offer, a competitive one, and submit that, and then see, how it goes from there. Um, you know, the reality of things is this: if you write a competitive offer to a buyer in this market right now, because it's really, really slow, you'll probably get into, negotiations and counter situations. So that's what I would recommend to do. And you'll probably end up, opening up escrow, probably getting into the close. So yeah, that's what I would recommend right now. But anyway, thank you all for watching the stream. And once again, my name is John Anagnos, aka Mr. Carlsbad, powered by EXP Realty. And I will see you guys on the next one. Take care. Have a great week.